I'm excited to share with you every single week of all the knowledge of which I've invested over £50,000 into mentors, 8 years of sales experience, and after interviewing 6, 7, 8, even 9-figure entrepreneurs, I am going to give it all to you. You've got this feeling that you want more in life. You want more than, say, your 9 to 5. If you've got this feeling that you're in sales already, but you're stuck in an office and you want to travel the world, then I'm very grateful that you found this podcast. Building a business is not for the faint-hearted. There's so many challenges, so many obstacles, and I'm going to be sharing everything with you so you don't have to make the same mistakes as I did. I've made over £1,000 in the hour. The best I did, I made £2,900 in 1 hour in high ticket sales. Why I left the UK, why I got into sales, and how I went from low ticket sales into high ticket sales, which has then led me on to running my own business. And I'm going to share everything with you. Welcome to episode 1 of the Sales of Callum podcast. If you're already in sales and you're looking to increase your sales, but at the same time having more energy without sacrificing your health, without sacrificing relationships, and without sacrificing happiness, then you're in the right place. Or if you're looking to get into sales, then this podcast is going to be absolutely perfect for you. So why did I leave the UK at 19 years old? Well, I want to rewind back 8 years ago, which is when I made the decision to leave the UK. And the reason why I left was because I actually went to go study business at university. Because I'm not going to lie, I don't know if you experienced this, but when I was at school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do when I was older. I did well at school, different subjects, but I felt lost. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I actually thought I was going to end up going to be a banker, but then I made a decision to go to university to study business management, and I got accepted into Plymouth University. So off I went at 18 years old to university, and I can vividly remember my first day at university. I was sat in a lecture room looking around. I had this old guy that was our lecturer who was an employee, and the whole room was just disengaged students. People were sat on their phone, people were bored, and we were sat in that lecture hall for 2 hours. And I came out of that lecture so demotivated, so low energy, and I didn't learn anything. I was like, we've invested thousands to study business at this university, yet everyone's disengaged. And it was actually my first week at Freshers at university, and I got an email through from ITV, and IB for Weekender asked myself and 2 of my best friends to go on to ITV IB for Weekender. If you're not from the UK, it's a TV show essentially about going on holiday and partying, and they filmed the whole thing. I got the whole trip completely for free, and it was my first week whilst I was at university. Off I went, a one-way flight to Ibiza, and it completely changed my life. Although it was quite cringy looking back, I'm so grateful for the opportunity because it really pushed me out my comfort zone. Like when I was at school, I had no confidence, I was anxious, I was shy, and the next minute I was on a TV show, which was pretty crazy. And on the TV show, basically get taken around Ibiza with different reps. And all the reps, they all worked out in a place called Magaluf every single summer. And ITV asked me and my 2 good friends if we'd ever consider being an events rep in somewhere like Magaluf, Santi, Ibiza. I actually said no because I was at university at the time. So I really didn't think that would be the route for me. And it wasn't until when I was at uni and I was studying business and I was going through it and I was thinking, this is so pointless. I want more in life. And I actually seen on social media, they were advertising going to work abroad. And I just had this feeling. So if you're listening to this and you've got this feeling to leave the UK, you've got this feeling that you want more in life. You want more than, say, your 9 to 5. If you've got this feeling that you're in sales already, but you're stuck in an office and you want to travel the world, then I'm very grateful that you found this podcast because I'm going to be taking you on a journey of how I've gone from having no confidence whatsoever to someone that's gone on for the last 8 years to become a high-performing, high-ticket closer in low-ticket sales, high-ticket sales in person, high-ticket sales online, and now building my online coaching business. And not only that, I've actually got a podcast called Freedom Lifestyle where I've interviewed 6, 7, 8, and even a 9-figure entrepreneur worth 100 million. I'm going to be sharing everything with you. But not only am I going to be sharing you all my lessons, all my wins, all my achievements to help you, but I'm also going to be sharing my vulnerabilities, my weaknesses, because I've made so many mistakes. And you watching this right now, I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I went through. So I just want to say I'm really grateful for you tuning in. But in regard to when I got out to Magaluf, I booked a one-way flight out there. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I left the UK. And I can remember being on that plane just so excited. And when I got there, I was like, I've never been to Magaluf before. I've never been into Mallorca because growing up throughout school, my 18 years of life, I didn't really go on many holidays when I was younger. So for me to go abroad was just an amazing experience. And when I was there, I ended up getting an opportunity to represent different events, so different party events. And essentially, it was commission only. So you don't just get paid per hour, you get paid when you sell events. So if you don't sell any events at all, you will make no money. And let me tell you this, learning how to earn a commission is the best thing you can ever do in your life because it makes you hungry. It makes you have to level up at a skill. Because if you don't level up at a skill, you won't make any money. You won't make enough money to survive. And that's the harsh reality about the commission lifestyle. Not everybody has what it takes to become an A player at sales. You've got to have that vision. You've got to have that hunger about you that you're going to make this work. Because let me tell you this, online, there's this dream being sold that high ticket sales is so easy. It's really not. Like, sales is a skill. If you think about it like this, sales wasn't taught at school whatsoever. I studied business management at university, got myself in 50 grand worth of debt. I was there for 3 years. Yet sales wasn't even mentioned. But the number one reason why businesses fail is due to a lack of sales. So it doesn't really make sense that sales wasn't taught, right? And that's why I'm so grateful that I had that opportunity to represent events, because I started to learn how to sell. I started to learn how to communicate. And I just want to share this with you. My first day as an events rep, I was out there grafting for hours and hours and hours. I was scared to talk to people because I didn't know how to sell. I didn't have the confidence. I was shy, but I just got stuck in. And at that end of the first day, I literally made nothing. And I can vividly remember the second day I went out there and I made 50 euros. And genuinely looking back over my last 8 years, like, that was my favorite sale I've ever done in my life because it was my first one. And I want you to write this down if you're listening to this whilst you've got your notebook. Once you do something once, you can repeat it. The hardest time to do something is the first time. It's like when you drive a car. The first day you go out to drive your car is usually the hardest time ever. But when you get more reps in, when you start getting some more success, when you're consistent with it, that's when it's going to get better and better and better. And you're going to get more confident. You're going to get more successful. And it's the exact same in sales. Sales is not a get rich quick scheme. However, it is a skill that if you go all in with, and I'm confident that you're going to go all in with me with this. And if you want to go all in with me, then make sure you subscribe to this podcast, because I'm excited to share with you every single week of all the knowledge of which I've invested over £50,000 into mentors, 8 years of sales experience. And after interviewing 6, 7, 8, even 9-figure entrepreneurs, I am going to give it all to you because I live by this philosophy: give, give, give. And I want to share, when I was at university, fast forward 3 years, obviously I was doing seasons whilst, learning how to sell. I was getting better and better and better. And I can vividly remember I'd be, living it up in Mallorca, and I'd be going back to uni to Plymouth to live there in the winter. And I can just remember being at uni thinking, I want more than this. I want to be traveling the world. I want to be out of the UK. But I was stuck at university. But in my mind, I thought that I was going to be a failure if I quit. And I thought, well, I've already invested thousands to be here, so I may as well just see it through. I may as well just finish it. And I'm grateful that I did finish the degree. Otherwise, my whole life would be different. I wouldn't have gone down the path that I would have. But if I was to rewind back time and do life again, I 100% wouldn't have invested 3 years of my life studying business from someone that wasn't doing a business. I would have been better off traveling, because that's school of life. You learn so much from traveling, and just go all in with sales. Because once you go all in with traveling and sales, it will change your life. And then you can transition and move on to then becoming a business owner. Because if you're a business owner with an amazing service or product and you know how to sell, you've got that hunger and you've traveled the world, you're going to be very cultured. You're going to have a very big network. You're going to have the skills to do what it takes to build a business. Because let me tell you this, I was successful in sales and now I'm building a business. And let me tell you, building a business is not for the faint-hearted. There's so many challenges, so many obstacles, and I'm going to be sharing everything with you so you don't have to make the same mistakes as I did. But I just want to share that I went from selling low ticket sales out in Mallorca as an events rep to selling high ticket sales in the UK because I ended up getting stuck during lockdown. Because when I graduated university, I had two options. Do I go and get a graduate job and just get stuck into that 9 to 5 world and get a good salary? Or do I continue to travel the world and continue to have fun and continue to sell? I guess you can take it by now which option I took. I took option two. I went back out to Mallorca after I graduated uni. By the way, I got a 2-1, which is like the second best you can get, which is deemed in society is really good. Yet the reality of it, 3 years of my life, I wasted time and I didn't learn anything. I learned more from being an events rep in Mallorca than I did at university. Make that make sense. And when I left, I went back to Mallorca. I smashed it. I went all in with sales and I started traveling. I was living life. I got a tattoo on my ankle called Vivienda El Sueño, living the dream. I felt like I was living the dream at 21 years old. And the whole winter I went traveling. I went to Amsterdam. I went to Madrid. I went to a ski festival. I went to India for New Year's and I lived in a place called Goa for a month with my boys that I worked out in Mallorca with. And then I went out to Thailand for a month. I couldn't believe the life that I was living at such a young age. And then I got a flight back to the UK because me and my friends we bought a car together and we were going to drive over to Mallorca and pick my friend up from Barcelona and then take the car over to Mallorca to have a car out there for the whole summer. And then it all come crashing down. 2 weeks back in England, I was back at my nan's house, start of 2020. It was mid-March. And turned on the news and it was the national lockdown. Travel was cancelled. I wasn't able to go out and do another season in Mallorca. So what happened was I ended up getting stuck back at my nan's house because I didn't have a property because I was traveling. I had no money because I literally didn't work for 6 months because I was just traveling. And it was the lowest point of my life. I felt lost. I felt depressed. I really didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And I needed money. So I ended up getting a job packing boxes at Amazon in Avonmouth. And I got the job there and I went down there and I can remember my first day and it was like just over £10 an hour. And I can remember everyone telling me how amazing that was. And money is amazing and it's important, but because I had this mindset I had more of a bigger think mindset from learning how to sell, I didn't look at my time as an hourly rate. I looked at my time as the more I sold in an hour, the more commission I could make. So I could go out and make £10, but in an hour, I could go out and make £1,000 if I wanted to, which I have done in high ticket sales where I've made over £1,000 in the hour. The best I did, I made £2,900 in 1 hour in high ticket sales. So my perception of money was just a lot different. And because of that, I started to feel really sorry for myself. I was packing boxes. I was in Amazon warehouse from 7 a.m. in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. And I'd leave the warehouse. It was dark. I had no life. And I was literally working every single day because I was working weekends. My only days off were during the week. And I had no one to hang around with. Because other people were working. So I ended up just doing overtime, working more because I was so bored. I was so lost. I just wanted to escape England. I wanted to leave the UK. And I actually booked a one-way flight to Bali to escape. I wanted to escape the UK. And then guess what? That then got cancelled because of national lockdown. I couldn't believe it. I was stuck again. And guess what? I no longer had a job again. I was back to square one. But this time round, I made a decision. I made a decision that I wasn't going to cry about it, that I wasn't going to moan, because the reality of it is what was going on in the world, was a lot worse than me not being able to travel. I was just feeling sorry for myself. And I'm sure you can resonate with that listening to this. You may have had a time in your life. You may be going through a time in your life right now where you may feel sorry for yourself. But I just want to share this one thing. In order to change your life, You have to take responsibility. I took responsibility for my situation, for my happiness, for my positivity. And I made a decision that I was going to make a best out of the situation. So that money that I had saved to go traveling, to go live in Bali, instead, I invested into a mentorship, my first high ticket mentorship, which was a very scary decision for me to do. But I had this feeling to do it. And it was £3,000 and it was with Grant Cardone. I went all in with it. All my spare hours, I had all my friends from home were online doing quizzes and, drinking online. But I didn't want to do that anymore. I got bored of drinking. I partied for years at university in Magaluf, doing back-to-back seasons, going to festivals every single summer. So I didn't really want to be drinking in my nan's bedroom on Zoom. So instead, I utilized every spare hour that I had and I was just learning. I was reading books. I invested into Grant Cardone's mentorship. Every spare hour, I was just learning. When I was packing boxes at Amazon, I was just listening to podcasts. I was consuming content consistently. I got absolutely addicted to it. And I was like, right, I need to put this to use. And some of my best friends were out in Australia and they were selling solar panels in Australia. Obviously, Australia is an amazing place to sell solar panels because it's like daylight all day and there's a lot of sun, right? So it powers homes. I thought to myself, I wonder if I could sell solar panels in the UK because that would be high ticket. And I searched up and there was a company that I'm not going to say names. And I ended up within 2 weeks landing a high ticket sales role on a commission only for the most successful solar company in the UK, the largest solar company in the UK. It was on a commission only basis. And I thought, right, I'm going all in with it. I was self-employed, so I had to drive around to the appointments. I had to invest into the petrol. I had to go out all day to different homes, different appointments, driving around the country, but I went all in with it. And within my first month, I ended up making £7,000 in my first month in high ticket sales. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I've just made £7,000 in my first month. I was high off life. I was energized and I was like, high ticket sales is the one. But then the month after, it was December and I ended up having a really bad month. I made 2 sales, which was under £2,000 commission. And I spent the whole month working 6 days a week, driving around the country. I just felt a bit lost. I went from earning £7 in commission to £2,000. I felt really emotional. So moving into the new year, I made a decision that I was going to invest into new mentorship. And I got addicted to mentorship. And now, fast forward 4 years, I've invested over £50,000 into mentorship. I've had multiple 5-figure months in high ticket sales. And what happened was the company I was at, I was doing great. I was doing amazing, but the lifestyle didn't suit the lifestyle that I wanted. I was stuck in England, working 6 days a week, driving around the country all day. So my entrepreneurial mind, I was like, how could I take this online? So I made a decision that I was actually going to start generating my own leads. I invested into ads and meet myself and my girlfriends and my business partner, Charlie, at the time. We were calling the appointments that we were running through ads and we book them in for appointments virtually. And I started closing deals virtually. And I can vividly remember I was in my nan's spare bedroom and I closed my first high ticket deal, which was virtual and didn't even go to the home. And it was my biggest solar deal I've ever done. It was 25 grand. I made £2,900 commission remotely on Zoom. And I thought, I'm onto a winner. So me and Charlie, we flew out to Tenerife and we started closing virtual deals in Tenerife. I was like, I'm onto a winner here. So I started to recruit people. And who I actually run the Freedom Lifestyle podcast with, Jacob, one of my best friends. I actually recruited Jacob and we started getting leads for Jacob. And he closed his first deal remotely. And my goal was to build a remote sales team for the largest solar company in the UK. So everybody could live a freedom life. Everybody could travel whilst making good money, but also grow in the business. But unfortunately, the company that I used to work for, they didn't like what we were doing. They didn't want us to do it. So the double commission that we were getting for generating our own leads, they got rid of it. They got rid of it as soon as my friend closed the deal. So I ended up going back out on the road and I felt lost. I felt trapped. Within a month, I quit. This was back in 2022 and I quit. I went back out to Mallorca and I started the Freedom Lifestyle podcast, which was like 2 years to what we're in now. We're in 2025 January. This was 2022, the summer. Moved out to Mallorca, started Freedom Lifestyle Podcast, and I've just been on a crazy journey ever since in the coaching industry, interviewing 6, 7, 8, 9-figure entrepreneurs and realizing how difficult it has been to build a business. But one thing for sure is I have got so much sales knowledge, value, all my personal development that I've done, all the interviews that I've done, and I cannot wait on this podcast to give you everything. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of a bit of an overview of why I left the UK, why I got into sales, and how I went from low ticket sales into high ticket sales, which has then led me on to running my own business. And I'm going to share everything with you. So if you did enjoy this podcast, which I'm confident you did, I want to get connected with you. I want to get connected with you. And the most active I'm on is my Instagram, which is Sales with Callum, the same name as his podcast. So it's really easy. In the description, you can literally click the link and follow me on Instagram, or you can search on Instagram, Sales with Callum. And I'm excited to get connected with you, see what your goals are, and help you take it to the next level in sales. And I also have a private story specifically for my podcast listeners. So if you do want to join my private stories where I share daily value to help you level up in sales, to help you level up your mindset, send me a message, AAA, so I know you've come from the podcast, and I can't wait to see you in my private stories. But other than that, I hope you have an amazing day. Hasta luego.